The New Orleans Saints close out day 3 of the draft in style, trading away tight end Adam Trautman to the Broncos, and in return bringing in Wake Forest wide receiver A.T. Perry. Let's talk about the newest addition and the trade right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? It's Christmas Voglu of the Straight Up Saints podcast. And the Saints decided to go out in style for this draft, trading Adam Trautman to the Denver Broncos along with the 7th round pick for pick 196, which is then used on Wake Forest wide receiver A.T. Perry. So let's start off with Adam Trautman, right? You get rid of Adam Trautman. I think at this point, it's not a huge surprise, right? I always felt like Sean Payton was going to trade for someone from New Orleans. It just turns out to be big fish himself, Adam Trautman. You know Juwan Johnson's your tight end one. You know that Taysom Hill can kind of do a little bit of everything in terms of that tight end spot, but that's not really what you're leaning on for sure. But you got Lucas Kroll still, the former Pitt tight end, and he could develop. And Adam wasn't really giving you more than just a blocker. And that doesn't mean he wasn't a good blocker. I just think for New Orleans' case, they probably wanted to move up and get a pass catcher. Denver probably wanted to get a run blocking tight end in there that knows Sean Payton's system. And it makes sense for both. So it's bittersweet in the sense that New Orleans gets a new wide receiver in the building, but you also move on from Adam Trautman, who never really lived up to the potential in New Orleans. So let's talk about A.T. Perry real quick. What are the Saints getting in the 6'4" wideout from Wake Forest? I think you're getting a guy that ideally could probably win a lot of 50-50 balls. They're kind of like 60-40 balls when they get thrown his way because of his height and size. And I think for him, I think there have been some people that talk about the drops, and that's got to get corrected. And that is obviously would be the main concern here. But you're not asking him to be a world beater. I mean, heck, you're asking him at best to be the 4th best wide receiver on the team. And I actually think that's going to go to Bryan Edwards. So maybe you're asking him to just be the 5th guy on this team if he were to make the roster. I like the pick. I think I had him way better than a 6th round pick. This is a guy that I thought 4th round would have been fine value. But as people say all the time, 4 to 6, there's not a huge gap in terms of where people rank these guys. So Saints get a pass catcher, and they will leave this draft only not addressing just one position I thought they might, and that's linebacker. I thought they would get defensive lineman. They double dipped. I thought they would get an offensive lineman. They did that today. I thought they would get a quarterback, a backup maybe. Did that with Jake Haener. Thought they would get a safety. They just did that before with Jordan from Minnesota. Thought they would go after a running back. Did that with Kendra Miller. So just an absolute great draft from New Orleans on paper. Now it's about executing and making sure these guys actually become impact players on Sundays. But you got to love what Mickey Loomis has done. Adam Trautman out of the building. A.T. Perry coming in. Another pass catcher from the Saints. You guys wanted one. You guys got one. Now we'll see if that works out. But I'm excited to know what you guys have to say, not just about the trade, but about bringing in A.T. Perry. So as always, let me know in the comments section below. And until then, stay tuned for more content here on the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for